It's part 3. We're live. We are live. Here we go. So now what we wanted to do is we kind of want to make this form work. Okay. Right now, if I try to come over here and click on something, it's not going to work. And the reason it's not working is because we have not told React or told the code, hey, respond when we're updating. Because again, we have our initial state and currently it's like read only. Okay, which means we can only look at it, what's displayed, we can't change it. All right, so we're going to need to uh, set the form data, or in other words, we're going to have to be able to update the state. Okay, and so there's a way we do that. But before we update the state, what we need to do is we need to pass the state in as a prop. So let me come back over here to VS Code. And so we have in our app.js, here we've created the state for the application, right? And so what we need to do, and I'm going to put that, down here. And this would be step 3 right here. So third, we're going to pass in form data properties as a prop into, we're going to put it in the form component as well as the header. So into header and form component. Okay, that's what we're about to do. So real simple. We can see here in our form, we have hello user right here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to pass in the username that we have here. I'm going to pass that as a prop here inside of header. And so to do that, again, with props, we can name them whatever we want to. They look like HTML attributes. However, they're not quite that. They're more, they look like it, but they work like a JavaScript object in property. So we can name it whatever we want to. So I'm going to name this username. And the username for this, and it will go into curly braces. The username is going to be form data.username. All right. It's not going to affect anything just yet. Okay. Not quite yet. So now that I've added this prop here, I'm going to pass it in to my header.js because I'm in my header component. So I'm going to come over here into my header component. And again, I need to pass in the props. I can just write props right here, and that will work just fine. Okay. But I'm only passing one thing. And so like I mentioned before, if I'm only passing in just one particular prop, I like to destructure my props. So I put this inside curly brace. And what do I want? I want username. That's the only thing in there. So right here, instead of user, hello user, I can say hello and then pass in username. And I should have empty string right here, which I do. And what that allows me to do is I can change my state. So what I can do is come back over here in app, and username, instead of username being empty, I'll just make it, I'll just say guest. That'll be my initial state. We've seen this before. So it says hello guest here. That is the default setting. Hello guest. Or we say friend. Let's not say guest. Let's call everybody friend. Come on, friend. I'm not your friend, buddy. I'm not your buddy, pal. Anybody? Come on, where?
I can't remember where by not.
What show? Yeah, thank you. I'm not your friend, buddy. I'm not your buddy, pal. I'm not your pal, friend. All right, anyways, all right, let's go back. So that's how we do that. I'm going to do the same thing for form. form, I'm going to add all of the goodness here. So all this is going to be on separate lines. I'm going to say first name, and that's going to, oh, excuse me, curly brace. That's going to be form data dot first name. Okay, last name. Form data dot last name. I'm probably going to change that guest. I don't know. I think I am. Email. I'm just going to leave. I may just leave that an empty string. Form, but you see that you can do that. Form data dot email. Username. It's going to be form data dot username. Phone. Going to be form data dot phone. Oh, that's a lowercase n. There we go. On username, I would have cried. Password. Form data dot password. Day class. Form data dot day class. Evening class. Form data dot evening class. Comments. Form data dot comments. And we're going to add handleChange, which is a function we're going to add. I'm just going to leave this blank right here. And then handleSubmit. I want to get all this stuff set up. handleSubmit, which is also a function that we're going to write. And then needs to be, I'm sorry, let me correct this. handleSubmit. And that's going to be just an empty function. What don't you like? Do I need to just put an empty string in there? Okay. Yeah, I'll put an empty string there for right now. Because I'm going to go back and change this anyways. I'm going to add to this. Okay. So, yeah, now we're passing in these props. I'm going to go ahead. Once I get all this typed up, I'm going to go ahead and come to form.js. And I'm going to pass in props right in here as my argument for my component. So that's already set up. Okay. Now we're good with that. Okay. The next thing that I want to do, so we did that. Now we want to write our handleChange function. Okay. So I'm going to do that right up here. And this is what is going to allow us to update the form. In other words, again, currently, when we try to type something in the form, nothing's happening. Okay, we haven't updated the state of our form data. So we need to create a function for it that will allow that to happen. We can't. This is not like a traditional HTML form. Okay, this is React form, but the beauty of it is things get update live. Okay, we can set up to where it does that. Anyways, let's see. Fourth, that's where we are. Write our handleChange function. This is generally the what you'll see it named, handleChange. Somebody may make it a little more custom, what have you, but handleChange usually the name we'll see. It's going to take takes in the event as an argument. And we're going to pass this into the form component. Component. excuse me, as a prop. All right, so here we go. Let's write this function up. Const handle change. Again, it's going to take, as it says here, event as an argument. And so what do we want to do? Well, what I want to do is from the event, I want to get the target of the event, or in other words, which element, if you will, targeted this event. Where did this event occur? Okay. But I don't want the whole entire target. Okay. So in other words, let's say, for example, when I click on the first name and I start typing in information for the first name, the target of that event is happening here on this input for first name. So once I get the target of the event, then I can select which information I want from the event. Okay. And it's going to look like this. I'm going to say const, and I'm going to destructure event.target because that is an object. So I'm going to say const, I want the name, I want the value, I want the type, and I want to know if it's checked. Okay, so there I'm collecting these attributes from the element that we're targeting. Okay, and so what we're going to do now, we can come to our setter up here, our set form data. Okay, we haven't used it yet. We can use it now because again, what we want to do is update the state of the component. So we create state, initialize it, but then we also update it, and we update it using our setter function. So I'm just going to say set form data. And with set form data, we can update it by just passing in whatever we want. Okay. And where the previous state of the application does not matter. Okay. And we've done that before. But in this case here, we do need to know the previous state of the application. For example, if I'm typing in my name, S-A, I need to know what key was in there before. What was there before? I need that to know, if I if I want to update it, I need to know the previous state. So I'm going to pass in the previous state. And again, you see previous state. Sometimes people will be more precise, if you will. But here, I need to know the previous state. So I'm going to say previous state. And I'm going to return this object, which is going to be the new state. Okay. But in order for me to do that, I need the previous state. So I'm going to spread out the previous state. And again, that the spread operator is going to remove the curly braces from the object, okay, and just dump the data inside something, right? Right here is, it's another object. So I'm going to spread out the previous state, and then I need the name, and that is going to be here. If we look back at a form, the name is going to be this attribute right here. So first name, last name, email, password, etc. So that's why we needed that name attribute. That's going to be the property. The value is going to be this. I'm going to say, hey, if the type is equal to checkbox, meaning that if the type of the element, the input, is a checkbox, then I'm going to say that it's checked. And that's how the checkbox is going to work. I got a bunch of errors right now because I'm not finished with this. Else the name property is going to be whatever the value is. And again, we're going to come back and fix that because right now the value is an empty string and React doesn't like that. Okay. We're going to do that in just a moment. So it's going to match up the name attribute with whatever the value is. So name, email, value, satchwork@gmail.com. All right. That's what's happening here. So that is going to allow us to update the state of our React app, updating the values in the input. So it should work in just a second. We've written up the function, and now down here, back in our component where we're rendering it, instead of this empty string right here, we need to pass in handleChange. All right. And so now what we got to do is let's go back into form. So back here in the form, we're on number 5 now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5th. Anybody? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5th. Dave Chappelle. Yeah, the Dave Chappelle show. Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5th. So we're gonna add the onChange attribute, and we're gonna end these other attributes, not attribute to each element, to each input element. And we're going to give it a value of, watch this, props.handleChange. So remember I said we're going to add this onChange, and we're going to do that now. All right. So we're going to go back to our form here, and now we're going to fix this up. Okay. Because I said we're going to fix this. So the value is not going to be empty string. 1 second, because my battery is trying to go away. Plug this back up. We in the game. All right, so the value is going to be, instead of an empty string, because again, it doesn't like that with React. The value is going to be, this is first name, so it's going to be props.firstname. And we did pass in props, right? We sure did. Yup. So props.firstname is going to be my value. And then I'm going to add to this, I'm going to add the onChange attribute. And it is going to be, I'm going to pass in props.handleChange. And I'm going to do this for all of my inputs. Okay. So, and this it binds them together. Okay. So this value here for last name is not an empty string. It's going to be props.lastname. Also, if you need to, you can always go and console your props. So I don't know if it's going to work right now. We'll see. I'm going to come over here, and since I passed in props up here, I'm going to console.log props. This is again just to make sure that I got the info, and there it is, object. Yeah, there's all the stuff. Cool. So these comments, these error messages are going to, we're cleaning that up right now. So that's why I haven't gone to the console yet. because I know I knew there's going to be a bunch of error messages. So if you saw those, don't worry about it because we're cleaning it up now. All right. For email, that's going to be what? You guessed it. Props.email for the value. And then we're going to add on change props.handleChange. Username value be props.username and on change props.handleChange. Props.password on change props.handleChange. Telephone, I believe is props.phone. I think is what we called it. Let me make sure. Yep, props.phone. Okay. And on change props.handleChange. Props dot, what is this? Day class. And for the check boxes, they work the same way. And that's why we wrote it a certain way so that wouldn't have to write two separate functions. We're just saying, hey, if the type is a checkbox, like what we have here, then whenever this event happens, just click the box, make sure set it to checked. Otherwise, meaning it's not a checkbox, the type is not a checkbox, then just whatever the value is. Value that's going to be props.evening class, and then on change is going to be props.handleChange, and then comments. So the value is going to be props.comments, and on change props.handleChange. And there we go. So you should be able to type something in now. Let's see. Yep. Now we can type inside of our input fields. I can check the boxes. That works as well. I want to make sure all that works. Everything is looking good. And I mean everything. So we'll stop here on this video. Go back and check. Make sure your spelling is okay. Check your syntax, curly braces, all that stuff. Square brackets and what have you. Make sure things are written in the correct place. We're making much progress with this. The next thing we're going to do is work on handle submit, because right now my button does not work. It doesn't do anything. You see I get my error message, right? Well, my alert here rather. Please fill out this field because we set it to be required. So my button can't do anything just yet, or can't do what I want it to do. But we're making progress. All right. So we'll come back in the next video and get that working.